Hello everyone, Om Shanti and greetings from Oxford. So let's just come together and become present. I know that some of you are from different places, so it's possible that you're in a different time zone to this particular one, and so might have done many things throughout the day or heard many things throughout the day, but just to be here, present. I know that it's very easy to be doing something and also be listening when you're on Zoom, off screen, but it's good if you just sit down for these few moments. Allow your thoughts, your mind, that is, your heart, and the whole of your being present in this space. In a sense, the world becomes a very small place when we're together. And as we connect to our inner state of being, our inner world, just scanning my mind, my heart, and even my body. Am I in tune with my breath? Breath, if you measure your heartbeat, it's second by second by second. You never miss a heartbeat. And so am I in tune? What would be the feeling of being in tune with my breath? It's rhythmic. It's steady. It's constant. It never stops. And I too am the same. Constant, steady, and eternally beating, living and emanating. I sense the peacefulness of my heart, my breath, always surrendering itself to itself. Imagine 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months of the year, day by day, year by year, season by season. Your heart never stops beating. It never stops pulsating. When it does, it will have tried its best. When it can no longer, it gives up. To what extent I am also aware of my own ability to keep going, keep going. And I realize my own inner spiritual potential too. The difference between my heart stopping and me is that I never stop. I keep going. I keep emanating and I keep pulsating as a spiritual energy, the essence of peace, the essence of love, manifestation of eternity, here and now, boundless, limitless, and consistent. Om Shanti. So today's topic, walk the talk. In a sense, it's a subject that is very close to my heart, because I know that we live in a world of so much information, so many ideas. Through technology, so much intelligence, really, impressive intelligence. And this intelligence allows us to explore ways and ideas that have never been explored before. And we're highly stimulated by this particular phase, if you like, highly stimulated by people's interesting and fascinating ideas. There's so much philosophy. There is so many volumes and volumes of books about topics. Then there are also scriptures and holy texts and books. So many, it would be the same thing, but so many versions of all of that. So I'm very conscious that there is so much information out there, and there are people that are very good at that information too. And it's very easy for me to be stimulated by the information, or perhaps sometimes wisdom that I hear. But for me personally, always the question that while I'm fascinated by what I might hear or what I might read, how much is of that information that I'm truly able to absorb and then relate it to others on the basis of how much I myself have lived it or experienced it. Sharing information is very easy. We also live in a world of so much sound and so much noise. We also live in a world of so much insecurity. And this insecurity, whether it's insecurity about ourselves or insecurity that the other person has, this insecurity also makes us create a lot more noise. To be heard, to be seen, because we want to be visible. We want to be seen to convince our own selves of our own existence. And all of these things are very much connected, I feel, with this topic that we have today of walk the talk. And I know that for my own self, having been on a spiritual journey for more than 40 years now, so much spiritual understanding has come to me through people that I would consider wise. And as such, there are people who've explored a lot, and I've taken a lot from them over these years. No question about that. But I also find myself in this situation where I now feel, out of all that I have heard, how much do I really understand? And out of all that I understand, how much have I really absorbed? And how much having absorbed it, how much have I really practiced? And therefore lived all that I know. And so I'm at a point sometimes, and that's why whenever I get asked to do these kinds of talks and things, to be entirely honest, I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant because of this very reason of so much information. I find myself in a place where I want to be quiet now. I want to actually go into the depth of what I've heard, what I've learned. And I also want to keep tabs on myself as to how much I really live it. Daddy Janki, many of you know, used to say, we hear so much, this much information. Out of all that we hear, how much do we really absorb, and that is retain in our minds? Probably about that much. Out of all that I retain, how much do I really speak about? That much. And out of all that I speak about, how much I really absorb is probably, how much I actually practice is about this much. Having said that, I also recognize the benefit of sharing whatever limited or little experience I've had. I've also realized the benefit of sharing those experiences. I also realize the value of putting myself in a position, which is a vulnerable position. You might not think it, but even today, out of all these years of practicing, sharing my spiritual understandings, I can be vulnerable at times. And what makes me vulnerable is perhaps this dissonance that might exist in my own mind about where I want to be and where I actually am. It's very easy to open my mouth and speak. And it's this dissonance that exists within all of us that makes us hesitant. But as I say, there is value. And especially in the Brahma Kumaris, we're encouraged to share spiritual understanding, encouraged to share the knowledge that we know to be true, knowledge that we know has given us a lot of benefit, has changed our experiences of life, has changed us in terms of our well-being. So many ways in which we take spiritual benefit from spiritual wisdom. So how can I be able to share what I know to be true? How can I share what has worked for me? But also, how can I share perhaps even what I have not yet practiced, but I really truly have the desire and the intention to live and to practice? I think all of these elements are important to share. it becomes really easy, if you like, to share what I've already practiced. And whenever I have to share, speak to a group of people, like this group, for instance, my first port of call is my own internal experiences. What is my own experience about this? What is it that I know to be true for myself about this particular matter or subject? It's not so easy for me to find a reference book and kind of look in it and just say, okay, and this is an idea, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, and that I can just rotate or relate the points that I've noted in my head. Because that, to me, doesn't feel genuine and true. For me, as I share, it's important to share the vibration and the energy of my experience too. So it's an interesting aspect, I think, that walk the talk. The very word walk, on the one hand, is, yeah, as I live my life, I'm walking. But what's lovely about that word is that walking is a journey. Walking is a process. Walking is a place, a state in which I'm here today, and I want to be there tomorrow. So it's one thing to talk about where I want to go as if I'm already there. And it's something else to talk about how I'm making the journey to get where I want to go. And for me, very simply, this is the key element. The key element is to recognize for my own self that I am on a journey. It's a journey that I'm walking on. I'm on a path. And while I may not be what I want to be, at least I have the intention to go there. So when I share with other people, what's important for me also is to see where it is that we're all at, where it is that others may be at. They may not be where I am at. And therefore, my expression also accommodates for that. I'm aware that how I'm speaking, how I'm sharing, how I'm talking, how it's landing. If it's landing as if to say that I am there and you should come there too, and people are resisting that, then that's probably not the right way of speaking about it. But I'm journeying towards something, and this is what I'm journeying towards, and come and join me and let's go together. Then what I'm really doing when I'm talking is I'm taking into account the fact that I'm taking other people with me. So how do I talk? What does it mean to walk the talk? It means that whenever I am with other people, and it's not about just in terms of, talking in a formal situation like this, because we talk all the time, right? We don't just talk on a platform, on a stage, but we talk when we're having conversation. We talk even with somebody standing in the queue behind us in the supermarket. When I'm talking in the way that I speak to the person on the checkout at the supermarket, I'm talking. Am I talking as if I am coming from that place of something, a place of expectation, a place of demanding, a place of wanting some sort of a response in a certain way, then what is the quality of that relationship or interaction? Forget relationship, it's not a relationship, but what is the quality of that interaction? Whether it's with my friends and family, a quality that's very important in our relationships with other people. In order to be walking the talk, first and foremost is honesty. And the honesty that I'm thinking of is, first of all, honesty with my own self. Who am I? What am I? Honesty, because it is very easy to come across as something other than what I am. And so honesty for me has always meant that I am present with my own self. So yeah, the first and foremost aspect that is important is to be honest with my own self. And someone I heard say something about that there's a part of me to live an honest way of life means there's a part of me that is always observing myself. And I'm sure we've all experienced this from time to time, whereby you're about to say something or you're thinking, there's a process of thinking going on in your head, and you just know that this is not right. This is not good, because you're catching yourself going in a certain direction which doesn't feel comfortable or which doesn't feel right. Equally, there's words that are about to come out of your mouth and you've caught yourself saying, don't say this or don't do this. And at the same time, there is a feeling inside when I'm about to relate to someone else or interact with someone else in any way. Am I aware of how I am coming across? We can be in denial about our own selves. And let me also say, honesty doesn't mean to hang my own dirty washing, as the expression goes. It means that, I'm not okay, or I've done something wrong, and I'll just speak about it and let it out, and it's okay. I give myself permission in a funny sort of a way by doing that, because I've said what was not right, and so I'm honest. There's only a certain percentage of honesty, but the real honesty is where I might be able to share how I've come out the other side, be open about my failing, but as well as my result and my learnings from that, so that that aspect of my journey becomes useful to someone, instead of, well, this is what I did wrong, but I did that. And yes, I was wrong that I did that. But this is how I realized it. And this is my endeavor to change it. And it's possible that you haven't changed completely. And it's possible that when I'm speaking about it, I haven't fully changed. But that's okay. I know that I'm on a journey, and I'm also willing to admit that I'm on a journey. And this also then requires humility, because one of the things that gets in our way of, or creates this false facade about ourselves, is about our own ego. And so when I'm trying to protect an image, or I'm trying to create an image in a certain way, to be perceived in a certain way, to be perceived by certain people in a certain way, then my walking and talking is not going to be the same. My ego is projecting one thing, and I think that that's how I'm being perceived because that's why I'm projecting. But that's never true. We are an incredibly subtle spiritual beings. We are very smart and very clever and picking up what we don't see with these eyes, what we don't hear with these ears, simply through attitude and intentions of other people or someone else. And yet it does take humility to say, this is how it is. This is who I am. And this is what I'm. And you will be amazed how much people will become attracted more to the integrity of your interaction. You know, Tadi Janki, as I was saying earlier on, the head of the Brahma Kumaris, who passed away a couple of years ago, she used to say that your intentions and your attitude is picked up way before your words. But they also say in the world of personal development that it's only 7%, only the 7% of your expression, which is your words, people take notice of. 54% or something like that is your incognito or behind the scene atmosphere and energy and attitude with which you speak that people pick up. And once they tune into that, then you can share your real experience and they'll be able to learn from that. So the second aspect of walking the talk is humility. Being ready, being mindful of not projecting yourself how you want to be as opposed to how you really are. You can be anything. And nobody minds what you are. What people mind is when I pretend to be what I'm not. And the third aspect I was also thinking about was it was the 3 H's that come to my mind. So honesty, humility, and honor. How much I honor myself and I honor the other person. When I have that honor, then when I have that respect and regard for myself, then I don't have to be cheating myself. Again, when I'm projecting something other than what I truly am, then I'm cheating my own self. Because I believe something to be true when it is not the case. And in fact, what I'm doing when I'm doing that, I'm preventing myself from being what I truly want to be. So to truly honor yourself, to truly be free from deceiving your own self, and then in turn, not to deceive others. Honor yourself. Honor yourself for who you are. No matter what it is that I might be as a person, as a personality, but I am really a spiritual being. The essence of truth. Thinking, living, conscient energy. This is who I am. I'm nothing else but this. And in fact, when we're interacting with each other, this is what we're really interacting with. And this is who we're really interacting as this thinking, living, conscient being. When you feel you resonate with someone, what is it that makes you? Is it just their physical beauty and attraction? Initially, it might be, but you very soon begin to realize what is behind that person. That's this facade, this mask of a beautiful face that someone might be wearing. Behind this beautiful face is this personality, this living being whose intrinsic nature is love, of peace. And actually, I don't have to qualify this in any way. When I'm aware of this, then I can be whatever, and other people will pick this up. So what is it that's important for us to stay true to ourselves? For me, walking the talk is really first being true to my own self, honoring my own self, respecting my own self. And for this, I feel that as a way of life, as a practice, reflection, checking myself, reflecting as in being internal, being introspective. And in being introspective, it's not about seeing all that doesn't work for me or what it is that doesn't work inside of me, my pain and sorrow and suffering. And then again, it's not about denying that, but know the story about the two wolves. Whichever wolf you feed, that's the wolf that works for you. Do I want to feed my greatness? Do I want to feed my truth, my values, and my principles? Or do I want to feed that which makes me weak, that which makes the worst of me come out? I actually want to feed the best in me. I want to feed my values and my principles. And in order to do that, I do have to be reflective. I do have to check myself. And after checking myself, it's not about feeling bad, but actually it's about changing. My talk, I'm walking my talk when I am checking and intending to change. And in order to be able to check and then to change, I need to charge myself. And in order to charge myself, I need silence. I need the practice of meditation. Now we learn, we get together every day as a spiritual community, and we get together to meditate with each other. We get together to study spiritual wisdom together. We get together to do service together. And we do that because I know when I'm walking my talk, when I'm with other people. I can be very smug about myself, thinking I know so much and I'm so good when I come in contact with people now and again, and I can be the best of myself. But when you're working with people, when your own personality traits come out and somebody else's comes out, and when there is a clash that happens, how do I manage myself? Am I really able to walk what I know to be true about myself as love, as peace, tolerant, patient? And, you know, all of these qualities I have to learn, I have to be with my own self about. When I learn to be patient with myself, then as I walk on this journey of getting to my destination, of my values and my principles, to embody those values and principles, then I need that support of other people. That's when I know the extent of this dissonance that I was talking about in the beginning, where I am and where I want to be. When these two, this gap is too much, then we betray our own selves. And we are not willing to look at this gap. That's when our walk and talk is not in alignment with each other. You'll be amazed how much people will be willing to support you, even if you slip up, if you can be honest about it, and if you can be open about it, and allow yourself the vulnerability of it. So, you know, checking, changing, and charging. Charging is taking time to be with yourself. And this charging allows us to renew ourselves. This is where I feel a point of reference of our relationship with other people, but also our relationship with the divine. It's that one source that never changes. That one source that always remains constant. Always giving, always benevolent, always true. And I think that when I'm able to do this point of reference of the divine, then I actually begin to see the same qualities emerge within my own self, of compassion, of generosity, of truth, of beauty, firstly within myself, for my own self. And then secondly, in relationship with others. If I become too self-absorbed, if I become, or when I become too self-centered, then I can't walk the talk. How much of my time, again, Daddy Janki is someone that was a great source of inspiration to many, and she would say, how much of my time do I spend looking at myself, and how much of my time I spend looking at other people, or looking at how others perceive me, or thinking about how others perceive me. She used to say 95, no matter what she was doing, 95% of her internal persona was to be with her own self, to look and check at her own self. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I responding? Am I responding in the way that's supportive to others? And I think that when we want to truly walk our talk, there is this sense of a bigger picture as well, funnily enough. Bigger picture of what the world needs now. Am I just pushing my own self? I'm this one little screw in this huge machinery of our world. But I'm a significant part of this machinery. Or do I believe that I am the only a screw that's holding up the whole planet? It's a very subtle thing. I remember a particular individual. This person had the tendency of really kind of being big about themselves, and it's an expression that you probably heard, but someone suddenly said, hey, do you know that you're not the center of the universe? It's a funny thing. When my ego takes over, this is everything becomes about me. If everything becomes about me, then my actions are never gonna be benevolent. If I'm thinking of well-being of others, when I am thinking about well-being of the world, then I'm not thinking about my own self. So what is important is to recognize that I'm an important piece, important part of this world, and everything that I think, everything I believe, everything I do is making a contribution to the world. How true, how honest, and how generous am I with that contribution? And of course, when we're on a journey to go somewhere, to a high destination, there's going to be lots of ups and downs, lots of obstacles. And sometimes I'm failing, sometimes I'm winning, sometimes I'm losing, sometimes I'm not losing. All of this comes. Let me make sure that I am not in denial of all of this when it comes my way. Because this is what truly teaches me humility. This is what truly teaches me and allows me to see my greater capacity. It allows me to grow. It allows me to evolve. It allows me to learn so much. So sometimes it's not a deliberate ego that makes me not walk my talk. Sometimes I genuinely want to be something. And yes, I must believe it. And it's not that I want to cheat people or I want to cheat myself, but I end up cheating myself because I want to get there without making the journey to get there. Or I'm finding an easy way out. And I don't mean, when I say easy way out, it doesn't mean that I'm saying that to get to a higher place is always difficult. I don't mean that. But what I mean by that is that I need to put effort into it. I need to put work into it. And if I do put work into it, then I'm truly able to be humble with myself. So I have a couple of questions for you to think about. If you'd like to write these two questions down, then we could use these two questions as a reflection now, and then we can take them up, or you can take these questions away. Here's the first question. What does it mean to trust my unique journey? Now, these are interesting questions only because they don't have one specific answer. Every answer will be different because this is about your journey. So what does it mean to trust my unique journey? What does it mean to trust my own journey? This will require, if you are really a journaling person who journals, then you could spend probably a week thinking about it, because it's not something, in a sense, you can sit down in 5 minutes and come up with a whole heap of answers. But you could think about it. What does it mean to trust my own unique journey? And the second question I have, how do I consider perspectives of others? And I suppose the bigger question within that question is, how do I see other people? What role do I see other people play in my lives? Now, people generally, not just friends or relatives, but people generally. How do I consider the perspectives of others? How do I see or perceive the roles of other people in my life? These are just, in a sense, questions that make me realize that I'm not the center of the universe. And the interesting thing also is that sometimes the less I walk, the more I talk. And when I say talking, I don't mean just the verbal talking. It's also about the thoughts, my perceptions, my ideas. It's a funny thing, but we all kind of think that we're right. And my way is the best. My way is the right way. Is that really true? So this, in a sense, can guide us towards how we consider other people in our lives. Okay, so let me stop here. I mean, we can just reflect for a few moments, and then we can take up some questions, if you like. So I can just speak out some reflective thoughts on the basis of some of the thoughts and feelings that I have about this topic and what I've just shared. Why is it so important to be true to your own self? Why is it important for me to recognize who I am and what I am, what my strengths are, what my limitations are? And that when I recognize those, I'm actually also able to understand others and the difficulties that they might face, instead of always pushing that I am the right one. So just become quiet and perhaps ask yourself this question. Do I walk my talk in the way that I've just described it? Not that, okay, I have to be what I say, because that's not always true. If I have to give myself marks from 1 to 10, 10 being that I'm all the time like that, then it would be 10. and my intentions are there. I may slip up, I may make a mistake, but my intentions always bring me back to the reality. And how much do I take time to be with myself, to honor myself, to be aware of this inner being that I am. Just be present with yourself. And feel this incredible power of humility within you. And in fact, this is what makes the biggest contribution. Thank you. More important to just be quiet and perhaps hold the inspiration that we feel that we have right now as a result of the topic that we've been exploring. You're here because you want to walk your talk. What can I do now to allow myself to be the permission of what I am? I am this beautiful spiritual energy. And what the world needs now is this truth. The truth of the present moment. The truth of being together. The truth of alignment with each other. So let me share that. Om Shanti.